Well, I know that so many people often tell you about how you got them through quarantine when we were in the thick of the lockdown and um, obviously unable to socialize, unable to go anywhere. You know, let's go through the origin story of Club Quarantine. Like, what inspired you to start it?
Well, I was inspired by people, by the amount of people in my industry, especially that were losing jobs. And I was sitting back and I can't even imagine what other people were feeling. Like I was booked for tons of gigs, Essence Festival to, South by Southwest. And, I had 10 dates on Jill Scott's tour. It was, to me, like 2020 was supposed to be that year of like elevating my career, of not being like a club DJ. I mean, even though I was more than a club DJ, obviously I was doing the Obamas and Super Bowl, but I wanted to be like mainstream show DJ. Like, you're coming to see me at an amphitheater. Like, that's what I wanted to do as someone's opening act. And so Jill Scott and Live Nation Urban were kind enough to give me 10 dates on her tour. I was excited about that. And then the world stopped, like the world stopped, and we were losing gigs, and I was extremely sad, like I can't even imagine what other people were feeling, like I knew that I was okay. Like, I would have been able to survive, a couple of years. I invested well, and if I didn't make money, I can just pull from an investment. But like, it was rough knowing what people were going through. And when I started playing this homeschool party, it wasn't called Club Quarantine. It was called Homeschool initially. It was just about me doing exactly what I'm doing right now, just having conversations and like playing music and tell people about the origins of a song that I may have worked on. And I just kept watching people come in, and like it was just interesting. Like, wow, all right, people want to hear what I have to say. And I started playing more music, and then I started DJing, and that's when it kind of took off. And part of the reason why I kept it going was because I saw early on that all of my friends, like friends that I hadn't seen in a long time, like we may have been in the same club, but I could see them from afar, like the same way I saw you from afar the other night at a pre-Oscar event. I would see my friends, but I was never able to like actually converse with them, because I was working. Here we are, we're locked down, and we're all in my IG, we're all in this virtual chat in the IG live, and I'm playing music, and it kind of felt like old times, like when I first started. So that just gave me so much like, I just wanted to play more music. I wanted to keep going because it was just fun to see my friend Chuck Bone, or if you popped in there, or Shantrey popped in there, or like my friends from back in the day. Like, it was great. And I saw what was happening, and I was reading the comments, and I knew that what I was doing mattered to people, which is why I don't put up a cash app. No disrespect to anyone that does. I just knew that in this space, it should have been about me providing like just a space for people to come and hang out, and like listen to music with their families. And when that thing blew up, and it was something special because I knew that it had nothing to do with a brand. It had nothing to do with me selling you something. It actually just blew up because it was all based on love, and it was based on people wanting to feel connected to each other. And I'm so glad that I made every decision that I did to keep going, to play for 9 hours, to thinking about people in different time zones. Like, I just did that because, one, I was home. Two, I love music. Three, I love community. And four, it was just fun. Like, the comments were fun, and I try not to get on as much now. Obviously, the world has opened up and people are busy. So, I'll try to get on every now and then. But like, reading the comments it was just one of the highlights for me to actually just read what people were saying and how inspired they felt.
And not only that, I mean, it is interesting just how it just ballooned to the point where, at least in my group text and with people, my friends, like when you were on, they're texting me like, "Hey, you jumping in right now? Cause D's spinning right now." I was like, "Oh." say no more. Like I'll be there. I'll be at the party. Save me a spot in the VIP. And then it really became huge because suddenly you have politicians dropping in there. You know, you have Bernie Sanders dropping in there, and Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris. Like all of a sudden, it becomes the place you have to be if you want to connect with other people. Now, how did that make you feel once you saw political candidates dropping in there?
Well, so it's interesting about that, like they weren't dropping in because they heard about this D Nice party. A lot of them dropped in because I was making a phone call. So that was a very important moment for me as well. When I saw what was happening, I saw this shift happening with social media, and in particular with my IG live. Someone had posted, "Hey, D Nice got everybody in here." Like this was like the night before the big night when no politicians were in, and Drake was in there and Rock was in there. And I don't hang out with Drake, and I don't hang out with The Rock. Actually never even met The Rock in person. Now you a DM or a message, a comment or whatever, but I've never met the guy. So I'm like, damn, he knows about what's going on. Like that's pretty cool. And this was day 4. But one comment stood out, and it was a woman that said, "Hey, D Nice has everyone in here. The only people that are missing are the Obamas." And when I woke up the next morning, I received so many offers for sponsorship, like, "Hey, can you put this in there?" And I turned everyone down because I felt like this was something special. And I made a couple of phone calls. I started calling, assistants, and I was like, "Hey, listen, I got this party. Like, it's a little weird. It's on the phone, but it does feel weird. It feels real. And you should ask this person to come in." And no one could guarantee anything. Like, "Oh, I've been in there. Like, it's so dope, but I don't think that this person is going to come in." And at the end of one of the calls, she said, "Hey, I can't promise you anything, but I'll see if Michelle could stop in." And I was like, "All right, cool. That's all I could ask for."
Yeah,
And
Michelle is in Michelle
yeah,
Obama.
Michelle Obama, this FLOTUS, forever first lady. Um, and when she popped in, at the time I couldn't see her name. All I saw was like comments flying. Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Like, you see the comment, I saw the comments flying, and I realized not only the importance of like that moment, but like the importance of like being kind to people, or just pouring into other people for decades. And when you need them, people will come through. And like that was probably the biggest lesson that I learned from that. Outside of it, catapulting like CQ to next level, it was more about, man, you do things for people, and you never think to even ask for something in return. And the moment that I asked for something in return, it was really about inspiring other people. It wasn't something for me. It wasn't like sorry about this.
No, don't apologize at all. I mean, it was honestly, I think for me, what struck me about it, other than the great music, um, was we don't do a whole lot in this country together. You know, like we don't have that sense of community has really been lost, and especially during that time, that's really divided. We're under the pressure of this pandemic, and it was one of the few times during that entire quarantine where we actually came together,
True.
and you just don't have those moments. They're rare now. And I think I've watched a video, a interview that you did where you talked about sort of the power of music. So talk about that part a little bit. Is that how is it how music is able to build this community that you love being a part of?
Yeah, with the music, it hit me when one of my friends is another DJ Envy, out of New York City, the Breakfast Club. Um, he called one day while that same weekend while I was playing music, and he called me and said, "Man, I just want to thank you because this is the first time that I'm able to like dance at home with my family and listen to music, and it's because of what you're playing." You think about it, a lot of us were playing hip hop that we didn't want to play for like the average 5-year-old that was home, like not not really playing Cardi B, as much as we love to hear it. you're not really playing that at home for your kids, or hopefully not, Um, uh, and no disrespect to Cardi B, but it's more about the music and the spirit of the music. It's more like being in parties. In your home with your family, you want music that will reflect that kind of love that you want in your house. You want to dance with your kid. Um, to be someone that was able to play music that way, the way that I actually listen to music at home, it was special, and the music directly reflected what a lot of us were feeling. A lot of us needed love. We still, there's nothing like listening to a Stevie Wonder record, you know, when all I do is think of you and you're in the middle of a pandemic, and you're thinking about the world and you play the song that just even sonically, it just moves your spirit. It warms your heart. A lot of music that's being made today, not to make a blanket statement, but a lot of the popular music that's out right now doesn't really respect that or reflect that spirit. It's more like it's party lifestyle. Well, when the world stopped, no one cares about what car you're driving. No one cares about how many bottles you're popping in the club. No one cares about that, how much money you're throwing around in a strip club. Like that didn't matter. What mattered was we were all doing the same exact thing. We were stuck at home. Some people were stuck at home with people that they didn't even like anymore, or some people were stuck at home with people they were in abusive relationships with. You know, some people had this was their first time being at home together with all of their kids, and because they work multiple jobs, usually they're home and their kids are at school or they're at work, and one parent is home, one parent is at work, and then it's in reverse. Like this was the first time that we all had to like sit still, and so the music that I selected was music that I felt like would inspire people, would make you want to get up and dance together while you're cooking, to take your mind away from that abusive relationship, or like that's what I was trying to do, and the music was powerful and the song selection was powerful. Like I mean, I played Kathy Sledge thinking of you every day because that's just how I felt, like the chords and the guitar that Nile Rodgers was playing on that song felt like it was speaking to my heart, and obviously it was speaking to everyone's heart. Like we all listened to that song, and that's just the power of music.
Mm. Um, one of the other things I think that came out of club quarantine was, not just the community, but I do think for a lot of us that sometimes don't listen to music the way that you play it. It was sort of a return to that because listening to it as more of an emotional experience as opposed to, like you said, just to, oh, I'm gonna put on this song before as I'm pre-gaming going to the club. I'm gonna play, constantly kind of in motion. So I think even the way you played it allowed us to slow down and appreciate timeless music that I think that we always had appreciated, but maybe lost a little bit of that appreciation. Now, I imagine you probably, as you mentioned, there were sponsors hitting you up, and you look at, and this is, I'm not in any way making any judgment on how Versus then became associated with Triller, but I imagine you had opportunities to maybe do the same thing with Club Quarantine to, either sell it or monetize it, and however you want to put it. Why did you decide to not take that step? Because it seems like you were very intentional with trying to keep it as pure as possible.
Yeah, because I mean, I know I love. By the way, I love what Versus did. I felt like that was something that was important. We not that we built Instagram. Instagram existed, but we kind of popularized it like during a dark time. Like not many people were using IG Live. And people started using that more. That wasn't my mission. My mission was different. My mission was about people. My mission, and not to say that that wasn't theirs. It was just different. Our approach was different. We both, I feel like we all kind of like came together and kept people inspired during a dark time. With what they built, it's so beautiful that to see how they built this company, that this business that wasn't just based on Tim and Swiss. They brought everyone along and gave everyone a piece of it, and I think that that is actually beautiful to see Black people coming together, people of color coming together, and doing something so powerful, and creating that movement, and taking it over to Triller. For me, like this, that's not what inspired me. What kept me going Just think about it like this. As much as people think that me playing music was about, just keeping people inspired, the conversation kept me inspired as well. The people kept me inspired as well. So to take that away from the people, to then turn it into something where, it could be a subscription, or like, that just didn't feel fair. Like, for Club Quarantine, for Versus, cool, that makes sense for them. But for CQ, for what people were feeling, I couldn't do that to them.